The white roses on the altar were wilting. I noticed that before I noticed the sweat beading along Marcus's temple, before I saw the way his eyes kept sliding toward the exit like a cornered animal plotting escape. The petals had turned brown at the edges, curling inward, dying slowly in the suffocating heat of St. Catherine's Chapel. Maybe it was an omen. Do you, Marcus Theodore Brennan, take this woman. My daughter's hand tightened around mine. Lily was 5 years old, wearing the pink dress we'd found at a thrift store, her eyes wide and trusting as she watched the man who'd promised to be her father. The man who was currently looking at me like I was a noose tightening around his neck. Marcus's voice cracked. The chapel held its breath. 60 guests, most of them his family. People who'd made it clear a single mother wasn't good enough for their golden boy, leaned forward in the pews. I felt their judgment like a physical weight pressing against my spine. Marcus, Father Murphy prompted gently. My fiancé's jaw worked. His mother sat in the front row, diamonds glittering at her throat, her expression carved from ice. She'd never wanted this wedding, never wanted me. A waitress from the wrong side of town, knocked up by some nameless one-night stand, now trying to trap her precious son. But Marcus had insisted. He'd gotten down on one knee 6 months ago, promised Lily she'd finally have a daddy, promised me I'd never have to struggle alone again. I can't. The words fell like stones into still water. I'm sorry, Claire. I can't do this. The chapel erupted. His mother gasped with theatrical horror. His groomsmen exchanged glances that said they'd seen this coming. My own small section of guests, my best friend Sarah, my manager from the diner, a handful of neighbors, made sounds of shock and pity that burned worse than any slap. But I barely heard them. All I could hear was Lily's small, confused voice. Mommy? Why is Marcus leaving? My legs wouldn't move. My lungs wouldn't fill. I stood there in the second-hand wedding dress I'd altered myself, in the chapel we'd booked for half price on a Tuesday afternoon, watching my future walk away. Marcus was already halfway down the aisle, his shoulders hunched, refusing to look back. Well? Father Murphy cleared his throat. Perhaps we should... The chapel doors slammed open. Every head turned. The man who entered shouldn't have existed outside of movies or fever dreams. Tall, over 6 feet of controlled power wrapped in a black suit that probably cost more than my annual rent. Dark hair, olive skin, and eyes so intensely gray they looked like storm clouds about to break. He moved with the kind of confidence that came from never hearing the word no, from knowing rooms rearranged themselves around him. 3 men flanked him, all wearing matching dark suits, all watching the crowd with the flat, assessing gazes of predators. I apologize for the interruption, Father, the man said, his voice low and rich with an accent I couldn't place. Italian, maybe? His gaze swept the chapel and landed on Marcus, who'd frozen 3 pews from freedom. But I believe there's been a misunderstanding. Marcus's face drained of color. Mr. Salvatore, this isn't... Your father, the man, Salvatore, continued smoothly. Borrowed a substantial sum from my family. He provided the deed to his construction company as collateral. A company that, as I recently discovered, he signed over to you 3 months ago. He smiled, but there was nothing warm in it. Which makes his debt your debt, Marcus. The chapel had gone silent. Even Lily had stopped fidgeting. I can explain, Marcus stammered. I just need time. Time? Salvatore took a step forward, and somehow the temperature in the room seemed to drop. You have 60 seconds to return to that altar and marry this woman, or I will consider your family's debt in default. Your father's company, your mother's house, the trust fund your grandmother left you. All of it becomes mine. He checked his watch with casual indifference. 50 seconds. My heart hammered against my ribs. This couldn't be real. This had to be some kind of nightmare, the stress of the wedding day fracturing my sanity. But Marcus was moving, stumbling back up the aisle, his face a mask of terror. Wait! My voice came out stronger than I felt. Stop! Everyone looked at me, including those devastating gray eyes. I'm not marrying a man who just said he can't stand the sight of me, I said, lifting my chin even as my hands shook. I won't do that to myself, or to my daughter. Salvatore studied me for a long moment. Then, impossibly, his mouth curved into something that might have been approval. Good, he said simply. He turned to Marcus. Leave. Your debt is forgiven. Consider it a wedding gift. Marcus didn't need to be told twice. He practically ran for the exit, his groomsmen scrambling after him. His mother rose with an indignant huff, gathering her purse and dignity, casting me one last withering look before sweeping out. Within minutes, the chapel had emptied. Just me, Lily, Father Murphy looking bewildered, Sarah gripping the pew in shock, and Salvatore with his 3 shadows. You're Claire Donovan, he said. Not a question. How do you... I make it my business to know things. He walked toward me, each step deliberate, and I felt pinned by his gaze like a butterfly on a board. You work 3 jobs. You've been raising your daughter alone since she was born. You've never missed a rent payment, never asked for help, never complained. He stopped 2 feet away, close enough that I could smell expensive cologne and something darker, gunpowder maybe. Danger. You're stronger than any man in this chapel. My breath caught. So here's my proposal. Claire. His eyes held mine. Marry me instead. The world tilted sideways. What? Marry me. Today. Right now. He glanced at Father Murphy, who looked like he might faint. I'm certain the good father can accommodate us, given the circumstances. You're insane, I whispered. Perhaps. He reached out slowly, giving me time to pull away, and brushed his thumb across my cheekbone. His touch burned. But you're standing here in a wedding dress with nowhere to go. I'm offering you protection, security, a future for your daughter. His voice dropped lower, intimate. And unlike him, I won't run. I don't even know you. No, he agreed. But you will. Behind me, Lily tugged on my dress. Mommy, is the new man nice? Salvatore's expression softened, just for a heartbeat, as he looked at my daughter. Then those storm cloud eyes returned to me, and I saw something ancient and hungry swimming in their depths. One word, Claire. That's all I need. Every instinct screamed at me to run. This man was dangerous, powerful, probably criminal. He'd walked into my disaster like he owned it, like he owned everything, and now he wanted to own me too. But as I stood there in my wilting flowers and secondhand dress, humiliated and heartbroken and tired of fighting alone. Yes, I heard myself say, I'll marry you. His smile was slow and devastating. Excellent. He offered me his hand. Then let's begin. I'd imagined my wedding day 1,000 times. None of those fantasies included marrying a man whose last name I didn't know, surrounded by his stone-faced guards while my daughter clutched a wilting bouquet and asked if the scary men had guns. They do, sweetheart, I murmured, smoothing her hair as Father Murphy fumbled through the ceremony with trembling hands. But they won't hurt us, I hoped. Salvatore stood beside me, close enough that I could feel the heat radiating from his body. He'd removed his jacket, rolled his shirt sleeves to reveal forearms corded with muscle and marked with scars. One looked like a burn. Another, unmistakably, a knife wound. What am I doing? The rings? Father Murphy's voice cracked. Here. One of Salvatore's men, tall, blonde, with ice blue eyes, stepped forward and handed over 2 platinum bands. They looked antique, engraved with intricate patterns I couldn't decipher in the dim chapel light. "Those were your grandmother's?" the man asked quietly. Salvatore nodded once. She would have approved. My hands started shaking again as he slid the ring onto my finger. It fit perfectly, which shouldn't have been possible. The metal was warm, as if it had been resting against someone's skin. "How did you—" "I told you, I know things." His gray eyes locked onto mine as he waited for me to place his ring. "Including your ring size, Claire, and your daughter's favorite color, and that you haven't slept more than 4 hours a night in the past 3 years because you're terrified of failing her." The air left my lungs. He knew too much. Impossibly much. And the way he said my name, low, intimate, like a secret, made something dangerous coil in my stomach. I slipped the ring onto his finger with hands that wouldn't stop trembling. "By the power vested in me," Father Murphy said quickly, clearly desperate to end this surreal ceremony, "I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss the bride." Salvatore's hand came up to cup my jaw, tilting my face toward his. His thumb traced my lower lip, and I forgot how to breathe. "Breathe, Piccola," he murmured. "Little one, I won't hurt you." Then he kissed me. It wasn't soft, wasn't gentle. It was acclaiming, fierce and absolute, his mouth moving against mine with the confidence of a man who knew exactly what he was doing. Heat flooded through me, shocking in its intensity, and I heard myself make a sound that should have embarrassed me. When he pulled back, his eyes had darkened to charcoal. "Ours now," he said softly. "Both of you." The limousine waiting outside the chapel was longer than my apartment. Black, sleek, with windows so dark I couldn't see inside. The blonde man opened the door while another, older, with silver threading his dark hair, scanned the street like he expected an ambush. "Is someone going to shoot at us?" I asked, only half joking. "Not today." Salvatore's hand pressed against the small of my back, guiding me inside. I made certain of it. Lily climbed in with wide eyes, immediately pressing her face against the window. "Mommy, look! There's a TV, and a fridge." "Don't touch anything," I said automatically, then looked at Salvatore. "Actually, is it okay if she can touch whatever she wants?" He settled across from us, his long legs taking up space with careless authority. "This is her home now, too." Our home is a 1-bedroom walk-up in Parkside. Was. He pressed a button and the privacy screen rose, sealing us off from his driver. "You live with me now. Both of you. I've already had your belongings moved." My stomach dropped. "You what?" "Your landlord was happy to break the lease early. I paid him 6 months' rent as a courtesy." He said it like it was nothing, like upending my entire life was just an item on his Tuesday to-do list. "You're also no longer employed at the diner, the dry cleaners, or the grocery store. You can't just—" Fury burned through my shock. "Those were my jobs, my life. You have no right." "I have every right. You're my wife. For 5 minutes. Long enough." His expression didn't change, but something in his voice went hard. "You will not work yourself to death anymore, Claire. You will not come home at 2 in the morning smelling like grease and exhaustion while your daughter sleeps at a neighbor's apartment. That ends today." "How dare you—" "Mommy!" Lily's small voice cut through my anger. "Are you mad at the new daddy?" I closed my eyes, took a breath, forced myself to unclench my fists. "No, baby, just surprised." When I opened my eyes, Salvatore was watching me with an expression I couldn't read. Something almost like approval mixed with darker hunger. "You're allowed to be angry," he said quietly. "Just not allowed to leave." "Am I a prisoner?" "You're protected." He leaned forward, elbows on his knees, bringing himself into my space. There's a difference. My enemies will know about this marriage within the hour. They'll wonder why I chose you, what you mean to me. Some will try to use you to get to me. My blood ran cold. Lily will be guarded every second of every day. His voice was iron. No one touches her. No one even breathes in her direction without my permission. I swear this to you, Claire. On my life and my family's name, your daughter is safe. Tears burned behind my eyes. I didn't know if I wanted to hit him or thank him. Why? The word came out broken. Why would you do this? You don't know us. Don't owe us anything. He was silent for a long moment, his gaze searching my face like he was memorizing every detail. 3 years ago? He finally said. You gave your sandwich to a homeless man outside St. Catherine's. You were clearly hungry yourself. I could see it in your face. But you gave him your food and your last $5. His jaw tightened. That homeless man was one of my informants. He told me about the woman with kind eyes who treated him like he was human. My breath caught. I've been watching you since then, Claire. Watching you fight and struggle and survive with a grace that humbled me. Watching you raise your daughter to be good in a world that's shown you nothing but cruelty. He reached across the space between us and took my hand. His palm was warm, calloused. So when I heard Marcus was going to abandon you today, I decided fate had finally given me an opening. To do what? His smile was dark and devastating. To keep you. The limousine turned onto a tree-lined street I'd never seen before, approaching iron gates that swung open at our approach. Beyond them, a mansion rose against the twilight sky, all stone and windows and impossible wealth. Welcome home, Mrs. Salvatore, he murmured. And I realized I didn't even know his first name. The mansion wasn't just big. It was obscene. Marble floors stretched endlessly beneath crystal chandeliers that cost more than I'd earn in a lifetime. Twin staircases curved upward like something from a fairy tale, and everywhere I looked, there were fresh flowers, priceless art, and staff members who appeared from nowhere to take coats and bags I didn't have. Lily's room is on the second floor, east wing, Salvatore said, his hand still at my back as he guided us through the entrance hall. Yours is connected to mine on the third floor. I stopped walking. Connected? A door between our rooms, which will remain locked until you decide otherwise. His expression was unreadable. I'm not a monster, Claire, despite what you're thinking. I don't know what I'm thinking, I admitted. This is all overwhelming. I know. He gestured to a woman in her 50s. Gray hair pulled into an elegant bun, who approached with a warm smile. This is Maria. She manages the household. Anything you need, ask her. Mrs. Salvatore. Maria's eyes crinkled with genuine kindness. Welcome home. And this must be Lily. My daughter had been uncharacteristically quiet, clutching my hand and staring at everything with wide eyes. But Maria's gentle tone seemed to thaw her. Do you like cookies? Maria asked, kneeling to Lily's level. I just made chocolate chip. Lily looked up at me, seeking permission. I nodded and she tentatively took Maria's offered hand. I'll show you to your room, Maria said. It has a princess bed and more toys than you can count. Your mama can come check on you in a few minutes, okay? I watched them disappear up the stairs, my heart in my throat. She's safe, Salvatore said quietly. Maria raised 3 children of her own. She'll guard Lily like she's her own granddaughter. Everyone keeps telling me we're safe, I whispered. But I don't feel safe. I feel like I've been dropped into someone else's life. You have been. He moved in front of me, demanding my attention. And I'm not going to lie and say it will be easy. But it will be better than what you had. You don't know what I had. Don't I? His voice went soft, dangerous. I know you worked 70-hour weeks and still couldn't afford Lily's asthma medication last winter. I know your landlord threatened to evict you twice. I know Marcus's mother paid for a private investigator to dig up dirt on you, trying to find something scandalous enough to make her son break the engagement. My vision blurred. How? I told you. I know everything about you. Claire. He reached up, cupping my face with both hands, and the intimacy of the gesture stole my breath. I know you're terrified right now. I know you think I'm dangerous. And you're right. I am. But not to you. Never to you. Then what do you want from me? The question hung between us, heavy with implication. His thumbs stroked my cheekbones, and his eyes, those devastating gray eyes, held mine with an intensity that made my knees weak. Everything, he said simply. But I'm patient. I can wait. Before I could respond, footsteps echoed through the hall. The blonde man from the chapel appeared, his expression tight. We have a situation. Salvatore's entire demeanor changed in a heartbeat. The gentle husband vanished, replaced by something cold and lethal. He dropped his hands from my face and turned, his body angling protectively in front of mine. Where? North Harbor, the Volkov shipment. Someone tipped off the feds. A muscle ticked in Salvatore's jaw. How many of our people? 6 detained. 3 escaped. Dimitri wants to retaliate. Tell Dimitri if he moves without my authorization, I'll put a bullet in his knee myself. The words were ice. And find out who talked. I want a name within the hour. The blonde man nodded and disappeared as quickly as he'd arrived. Salvatore stood there for a moment, his back to me, tension radiating from every line of his body. When he finally turned around, his expression had softened slightly, but I could still see the predator beneath. I have to handle this, he said. Marco will stay with you. The blonde man? My head of security, and one of the few people I trust with my life. He hesitated, then added, with our lives. You're leaving? Now? Panic crept into my voice. I don't know this place. I don't know anyone. Lily. We'll be fine. You'll be fine. He closed the distance between us in 2 strides, pulling me against his chest. The embrace was sudden, fierce, and completely unexpected. I'm sorry. I know this isn't the wedding night you imagined. I almost laughed. Nothing about today was what I'd imagined. When will you be back? Late. Don't wait up. His lips brushed my temple. There and gone so fast I might have imagined it. Maria will help you settle in. There are clothes in your closet. Everything you should need. If you want anything else, tell her. You bought me clothes? I had someone buy clothes. Your size, your style. Or what I think is your style. A hint of uncertainty crossed his face. If you hate them, we'll get different ones. He was already walking toward the door, his guards materializing from the shadows to flank him. I watched him go. This stranger who is now my husband. This dangerous man who somehow knew my clothing size and my daughter's favorite color. Wait, I called out. I don't even know your first name. He paused in the doorway, looking back over his shoulder. In the golden light of the chandelier, he looked almost unreal. Too handsome, too powerful, too impossible. Dante, he said. My name is Dante Salvatore. Then he was gone, the front door closing with a finality that echoed through the empty hall. I stood there alone in my wedding dress, in a mansion that felt like a museum, married to a man I'd known for less than 2 hours. Somewhere above me, my daughter was eating cookies with a stranger. Outside, guards I couldn't see were watching the perimeter, and I had no idea who my husband really was, what he'd done to build this empire, or what he truly wanted from me. But as I touched my lips where he'd kissed me at the altar, felt the unfamiliar weight of the wedding ring on my finger, I couldn't deny the traitorous flutter in my chest. Terror and attraction, I was learning, felt remarkably similar. A door slammed somewhere in the mansion. Glass shattered. Then silence. My heart hammered against my ribs as footsteps, slow, deliberate, echoed from the darkness of a hallway I hadn't noticed before. "Mrs. Salvatore?" A man's voice, unfamiliar and cold. "We need to talk about your husband's enemies." The lights went out. Darkness swallowed the mansion whole. My breath came in sharp gasps as I backed against the nearest wall, my wedding dress rustling too loudly in the sudden silence. The footsteps continued their slow approach, unhurried, confident. "Who are you?" My voice shook despite my best efforts. "What do you want?" "I told you. We need to talk." The voice was closer now, maybe 20 feet away. "About the man you just married. About the things he hasn't told you." My fingers scrambled along the wall, searching for anything. A doorway, a weapon, an escape. "Dante has guards everywhere. They're busy." A convenient distraction at the north gate. A match flared in the darkness, illuminating a face I'd never seen before. Sharp features, dark eyes. A scar running from temple to jaw. He lit a cigarette, the orange glow casting dancing shadows. "You have maybe 3 minutes before they realize it's a diversion." "Lily?" Terror clawed at my throat. "Your daughter is fine. I'm not here to hurt children." He took a drag, exhaled slowly. "I'm here to give you a choice. I don't want anything from you." "No?" He moved closer, and I could smell expensive cologne mixed with something metallic. Blood, maybe. "Not even the truth about Dante Salvatore? About why he really married you today?" My heart hammered. He told me why. He told you a story about a homeless man and a sandwich. The stranger's laugh was bitter. Very touching. Also complete bullshit. "You're lying." "Am I?" Another step closer. I could see him clearly now in the moonlight filtering through the windows. Mid-40s. Well-dressed. Dangerous. "Let me tell you what really happened 3 years ago, Mrs. Salvatore. Your daughter's father, the one-night stand you've never named, wasn't some random nobody." Ice flooded my veins. His name was Anthony Russo, mid-level enforcer for the Valentino family, Dante's biggest rivals. He watched my face carefully. "You didn't know, did you? He never told you his real name. Never told you he was married. Never told you he was using you to hide money from his bosses." "Stop." The word came out broken. Anthony died 4 months after Lily was born. Car bomb meant for someone else. Collateral damage in a war between families. He flicked ash onto the marble floor. "Dante found out about you 2 years later. Found out Anthony had a bastard daughter. And he's been watching you ever since. Waiting. Waiting for what? For leverage." His smile was cruel. "Lily has Russo blood, which means she has a claim to Anthony's inheritance, $3 million that disappeared before he died. Money the Valentino family wants back. Money they've been searching for." My knees weakened. "I don't have any money. I don't know anything about..." "But Dante thinks you do. Or he thinks he can use Lily to negotiate with the Valentinos." The stranger took another drag. "That's why he married you today, Claire. Not because you're kind or strong or any of that romantic nonsense. Because you're a pawn in a game you don't understand." "You're lying," I repeated, but doubt crept into my voice. The lights flickered back on. Marco appeared at the end of the hallway, gun drawn, 3 other guards flanking him. The stranger didn't even flinch. "Cutting it close, Marco," he said casually. "You're getting slow in your old age. Put your hands up, Castellano." Marco's voice was deadly calm. "Now." The stranger, Castellano, dropped his cigarette and crushed it under his heel. But instead of raising his hands, he pulled out a folded envelope from his jacket. "For you, Mrs. Salvatore." He tossed it at my feet. Birth certificate, police report, bank statements. Everything you need to verify what I've told you. Read it. Then ask your husband why he's really keeping you here. "Last warning," Marco said. "I'm going." Castellano raised his hands slowly, his eyes still locked on mine. "But think about it, Claire. If Dante truly wanted to protect you, why did he leave you alone on your wedding night? Why did he make it so easy for me to walk in here?" The guards surrounded him, weapons trained, and began escorting him toward the door. He called back over his shoulder. "Unless he wanted you to hear the truth from someone else. Unless this whole thing was just another test." Then they were gone, the front door slamming shut, and I was alone in the hallway with the envelope at my feet. My hands shook as I bent to pick it up. "Mrs. Salvatore." Marco's voice was gentle now. "You shouldn't look at that. Castellano is a liar?" I met his gaze. "Then it won't matter what's inside, will it?" I opened the envelope. The first document was a birth certificate. Lily Marie Donovan. Father, Anthony Michael Russo. The handwriting was mine. I remembered filling it out at the hospital, remembered the social worker asking if I wanted to list the father's name even though he'd ghosted me. I'd thought his name was Tony Davidson. He'd told me he was a financial consultant, told me he traveled for work, told me so many lies. The second document was a death certificate. Anthony Michael Russo, deceased, cause of death, explosion vehicular. The third was a police report about a car bombing. The fourth, a series of bank transfers totaling $3.2 million, originating from an account in Anthony's name, ending at an account marked location unknown. My vision blurred. "Claire." I looked up. Dante stood in the doorway, still wearing his wedding suit, but now there was blood on his shirt cuff. His expression was carefully neutral, but his eyes, those storm cloud eyes, held something that might have been regret. "How long have you been standing there?" I whispered. "Long enough." He moved toward me slowly, like approaching a wounded animal. "Let me explain." "Explain what?" "That everything you said today was a lie?" Tears burned down my cheeks. "That you married me because my daughter is connected to money you want? That I'm just, what did he call it? Leverage? It's more complicated than, did you know who Lily's father was?" Silence. "Tell me!" The scream tore from my throat. "Yes." The word fell like a guillotine blade. I knew. The envelope slipped from my fingers, papers scattering across the blood-red Persian rug. And the last piece of my heart shattered. The silence stretched between us like a chasm. Dante stood 3 feet away, close enough to touch but impossibly distant. Blood stained his white shirt. Not his own, I realized with sick certainty. His jaw was tight, his hands clenched at his sides like he was physically restraining himself from reaching for me. "Say something else," I whispered. "Say anything that makes this okay." "I can't." His voice was raw. "Because nothing I say will change the fact that I lied to you." A sob caught in my throat. I wanted to hit him, wanted to run, wanted to shake him until he took back the last 5 hours and gave me my ignorant, hopeful heart back. "Did you ever care?" The question tasted like ash. Or was it all just, what, strategy? A business transaction? At first, he dragged a hand through his dark hair, and for the first time since I'd met him, he looked uncertain, vulnerable. At first, yes, it was strategy. Anthony Russo stole from people I protect. Money that belonged to families who depended on me. When I found out he had a daughter, I thought... He stopped, his expression twisting. "I thought I could use you to find it. Get out." My voice broke on the words. "Get out of this room. Get out of my sight. Claire? Now!" He flinched like I'd struck him. But he didn't move. "I'm not leaving," he said quietly. "Not until you hear everything. I've heard enough. You're a liar. A manipulator. You married me under false pretenses, and now my daughter is caught in whatever sick game you're playing with people who plant car bombs." Tears streamed down my face. "So no, Dante. I don't want to hear anything else from you." "Then just listen." He took a step closer, and I backed away. Pain flashed across his face. "Please, Claire. Give me 5 minutes. After that, if you want me gone, I'll leave. I'll have Marco take you and Lily anywhere you want to go. I'll disappear from your life completely." "You promise?" "On my mother's grave." I wrapped my arms around myself, suddenly cold despite the warmth of the mansion. 5 minutes. He nodded, then moved to the wall and leaned against it, putting distance between us. Like he knew his proximity was a weapon. "I started watching you 2 years ago," he began. "Looking for evidence you knew about the money. Waiting for Anthony's associates to make contact. But all I found was a woman working herself to death to give her daughter a decent life." His voice softened. "No hidden bank accounts. No mysterious deposits. Just you, struggling and surviving and somehow still smiling when Lily asked for bedtime stories you were too exhausted to read." I closed my eyes against the memory. All those nights. All those doubles shifts. And he'd been watching. 6 months ago, I learned the Valentino family found out about Lily. "They think Anthony told you where the money is hidden. They were planning to take her, Claire. To use her to force you to talk." My blood turned to ice. "What?" "I couldn't let that happen." He pushed off the wall, his expression fierce. "So I made sure Marcus would leave you at the altar. Made sure I'd be there to offer you an alternative. Made sure you'd be under my protection before they could move. You..." I couldn't breathe. "You orchestrated the whole thing? Marcus abandoning me? His family owed me money. I offered him a deal. Walk away from the wedding and his debt is forgiven." Dante's eyes held mine. "I'm not proud of it, but I'd do it again in a heartbeat if it meant keeping you and Lily safe." "Safe?" I laughed bitterly. "A man just walked into your house and threatened me. How is that safe?" "Castellano isn't a threat. He's a messenger." Dante's jaw tightened. "From my uncle. The man who wants my position as head of the family. The man who's been undermining me for years, looking for any weakness he can exploit." The pieces started falling into place. "And we're a weakness." "You're a complication he thinks he can use." Dante crossed to the scattered papers, gathering them with careful hands. "Everything he told you is true. Anthony was Valentino muscle. The money is real. Lily has Russo blood. But what he didn't tell you is that I already found the money. 2 weeks ago. It's been returned to its rightful owners." I stared at him. "Then why?" "Because the Valentinos don't know that yet. And my uncle is gambling that I'll hand you over to them as a peace offering. Proof I'm weak. Proof I put sentiment over business." He looked up at me, and the intensity in his gaze stole my breath. "But I won't. I'll go to war with every family in this city before I let anyone touch you." "Why?" The word came out broken. "If the money's already gone, if we're not useful to you anymore, why keep us? Why risk everything?" He stood slowly, the papers clutched in one hand. "Because somewhere between watching you give away your last dollar to a homeless man and watching you choose your daughter over your own comfort every single day, it stopped being about strategy." He moved closer, and this time I didn't back away. "Because when I saw Marcus abandon you today, I didn't feel satisfied my plan was working. I felt rage that anyone could be stupid enough to let you go." My heart hammered against my ribs. "Because when I put that ring on your finger," he continued, his voice dropping to barely above a whisper, "I wasn't thinking about money or leverage or family politics. I was thinking about how right it felt to call you mine. Dante? I'm a liar, Claire. I'm manipulative and dangerous, and I've done things that would horrify you. He stopped inches away, close enough that I could feel his heat. But when I told you I'd protect you and Lily with my life, that wasn't a lie. When I said you're stronger than any man I've ever met, that wasn't strategy. And when I kissed you at that altar, his hand came up to cup my face, thumb brushing away my tears. That was the first honest thing I've done in years. I should have pulled away, should have slapped him, should have run. Instead, I leaned into his touch, hating myself for the weakness. How do I believe anything you say now? You don't. His forehead pressed against mine. You watch what I do, and you decide. A phone buzzed. Dante pulled back with a curse, yanking the device from his pocket. His expression went deadly as he read the screen. What is it? The Valentinos. He looked at me, and I saw fear, real, visceral fear, flash across his face. They just grabbed Maria. My stomach dropped. No, Lily's fine. She's with Marco. He was already moving toward the door, barking orders into his phone. But they left a message. They want to trade. Trade what? He stopped in the doorway, and the look he gave me made my blood run cold. You for her. They want you, Claire. In 2 hours. Or they start sending Maria back in pieces. Absolutely not. Dante's voice cut through the war room like a blade. We'd descended into the mansion's basement, a sleek command center filled with monitors, maps, and armed men who looked at their boss with a loyalty that bordered on worship. I stood in the middle of it all, still wearing my wedding dress, watching him orchestrate a rescue mission for a woman who'd been taken because of me. It's not your decision, I said, surprised by the steadiness in my voice. They want me. I'll go. Over my dead body. He didn't even look at me, his attention fixed on the blueprint Marco had spread across the table. The Valentino warehouse has 4 entry points. We hit all of them simultaneously. That's suicide, Marco said quietly. They'll be expecting that. They'll have 50 men minimum. Then we bring 100. Dante. I moved closer, forcing him to acknowledge me. Maria was taken because you married me. Because I'm in your house. This is my fault. His head snapped up, gray eyes blazing. This is their fault for thinking they can threaten what's mine. Don't you dare take responsibility for their cruelty. She has 3 children, grandchildren. My voice cracked. I can't let her die for me. And I can't let you walk into a death trap. He rounded the table, closing the distance between us until I had to tilt my head back to meet his gaze. Do you understand what they'll do to you, Claire? They won't just ask politely about money you don't have. They'll hurt you, break you. And when they realize you truly know nothing, they'll kill you anyway. Then tell them the truth. Tell them you already found the money. You think they care about truth? His laugh was bitter. This stopped being about money the moment they took Maria. Now it's about power. About showing the other families that I'm weak because I care about something other than profit. Then let me prove them wrong. I grabbed his shirt, fisting the blood-stained fabric. Let me show them you're not weak. You're smart enough to negotiate. Strategic enough to trade. There is no trade. The words exploded from him. I don't negotiate with people who take what's mine. I destroy them. Even if it costs Maria her life? He flinched, and I saw the war raging behind his eyes. The brutal Mafia boss warring with the man who'd held me so gently just hours before. There has to be another way, he said, but his voice had lost its certainty. Marco cleared his throat. Actually, there might be. We both turned to him. A wire. Hidden camera. We let them think they're getting what they want, but we're tracking everything. The moment we have Maria's location confirmed, we extract both of them. He looked at Dante. It's risky, but it's better than a frontal assault. No. Dante's response was immediate. Yes, I countered. It's the only option that doesn't end with people dying. You don't get to make that choice. I'm not asking permission. I released his shirt, stepping back. I'm telling you what's going to happen. Either you help me do this safely with your wire and your tracking, or I walk out that door right now and turn myself in without any of it. The room went silent. Every guard, every soldier, every man in that basement held their breath watching us. Dante's expression was ice. You're bluffing. Try me. I raised my chin, channeling every ounce of strength I'd built from years of surviving alone. I've spent my whole life being afraid, Dante. Afraid of being poor. Afraid of failing Lily. Afraid I wasn't good enough, strong enough, enough. Tears burned my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. I'm done being afraid. Maria needs me, so I'm going. Something shifted in his face. The ice cracked, revealing raw emotion underneath. You're the most infuriating woman I've ever met, he said softly. Good. Then we match. A ghost of a smile touched his lips, there and gone in a heartbeat. Then he turned to Marco. Get the equipment, best wire we have, and I want satellite surveillance on that warehouse. Every entrance, every window, every rat hole they might use to escape. Relief flooded through me. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. He pulled me aside, away from the others, his voice dropping low. The moment something goes wrong, and Claire, in my world, things always go wrong, you run. You don't play hero. You don't try to save anyone. You run. Understood? What about Maria? My men will get Maria. Your only job is to survive. His hands framed my face, desperate and possessive. Promise me, Claire. Promise me you'll run if it goes bad. I searched his eyes, saw genuine terror lurking in their depths. This man who commanded armies, who orchestrated complex schemes, who killed without hesitation, he was afraid for me. I promise, I whispered. He kissed me then, hard and claiming and achingly tender all at once. I melted into him, letting myself have this moment of connection before I walked into hell. When he pulled back, his forehead rested against mine. When this is over, we're going to have a very long conversation about you obeying orders. I don't take orders well. I'm starting to realize that. Another almost smile. It's going to make our marriage interesting. If we survive that long, we will. He said it with absolute certainty, because I'm not losing you the same day I got you. An hour later, I stood in front of a mirror in a basement bathroom, transformed. The wedding dress was gone, replaced by jeans and a simple black shirt. A tiny camera was sewn into my collar button. A microphone lived in my bra, and a GPS tracker the size of a grain of rice had been injected under the skin of my shoulder blade. You look like you're going to war, Marco said from the doorway. Aren't I? He studied me for a long moment. For what it's worth, I've known Dante for 15 years. I've never seen him like this about anyone. What he feels for you, it's real. Built on lies. Built on watching you from a distance and falling in love with your strength. Marco's voice was gentle. The lies were how he justified getting close, but the feeling? That's the only honest thing about this whole mess. Before I could respond, Dante appeared behind Marco. He'd changed too. All black, weapons visible, every inch the predator I'd suspected he was. Car's ready. His eyes roamed over me, cataloging, memorizing. Last chance to back out. Not a chance. He nodded once, accepting. Then he handed me something small and cold. A gun. Just in case, he said. Safety's here. Point and pull. It's simple. My hands shook as I took it. I've never... Hopefully you won't have to. He tucked it into the back of my waistband, his hands lingering on my hips. But I need to know you have options. The weight of the weapon was terrifying and empowering all at once. We walked upstairs together, through the mansion that had been my home for all of 3 hours, past the room where Lily slept peacefully under guard, oblivious to her mother's choice. At the door, Dante caught my wrist. Claire. I turned. Come back to me, he said simply. I didn't promise. Couldn't promise. Instead, I pressed one last kiss to his lips, soft, lingering, full of everything I couldn't say. Then I walked out into the night, toward the black SUV waiting in the driveway, toward the warehouse where Maria was being held, toward the family who thought I held secrets worth killing for. The door closed behind me with a finality that echoed in my bones. And Dante's voice crackled through the tiny earpiece they'd hidden in my ear. I'm with you every step. You're not alone. But as the SUV pulled away from the mansion, toward the darkness of the industrial district, I'd never felt more alone in my life. The warehouse loomed against the night sky like a graveyard monument. Rusted metal. Broken windows. The kind of place where screams would go unheard, and blood would soak into concrete that had already seen too much violence. The driver, one of Dante's men whose name I hadn't caught, pulled up to the entrance and cut the engine. His eyes met mine in the rearview mirror. You don't have to do this, he said quietly. Yes, I do. He nodded once, respect flickering across his face. Then he stepped out, opened my door, and escorted me to the warehouse entrance where 2 men in expensive suits waited with guns visible at their hips. Mrs. Salvatore. The taller one smiled without warmth. Punctual. I appreciate that in a hostage. My stomach churned, but I kept my voice steady. Where's Maria? Inside. Comfortable, for now. He gestured toward the darkness beyond the door. After you. Dante's voice crackled in my ear. Breathe, Claire. I'm watching. You're doing perfect. I stepped into the warehouse. The interior was exactly as terrifying as I'd imagined. Vast emptiness broken by support columns, flickering fluorescent lights, and the smell of rust and decay. In the center, Maria sat tied to a chair, her face bruised but her eyes fierce when they met mine. You shouldn't have come, she called out, her voice strong despite everything. Quiet. A third man emerged from the shadows, older than the others, with silver hair and cold eyes. Mrs. Salvatore, I'm Vincent Valentino. Thank you for accepting my invitation. You mean kidnapping, he laughed. Semantics. Please, have a seat. 2 guards materialized behind me, forcing me into a chair facing Maria. They didn't tie me, yet, but their presence was threat enough. Let her go, I said. I'm here. You have what you want. Do I? Vincent circled me slowly, like a shark scenting blood. What I want is $3 million that your bastard baby's father stole from me. What I have is a woman who claims to know nothing about it. Because I don't. Anthony never told me anything about his real life. So Dante tells me. Vincent's voice went cold. He says he already recovered the money. Returned it to its rightful owners. Very noble. Very convenient. But I don't believe him. My heart hammered. Dante? Stay calm, his voice instructed through the earpiece. He's fishing. He doesn't know anything. Vincent leaned in close enough that I could smell cigar smoke on his breath. I think Dante found the money, and kept it for himself. I think he married you to legitimize his claim to it. Anthony's baby mama. Practically family. And I think you're going to tell me where he's really keeping it. I already told you. You told me what your husband ordered you to say. His hand shot out, gripping my chin hard enough to bruise. But everyone has a breaking point, Mrs. Salvatore. Even brave little heroines playing dress-up in the Mafia. Hold on! Dante's voice was urgent. We're moving into position. 2 more minutes. 2 minutes felt like an eternity. I don't know anything about money, I repeated, trying to keep the tremor from my voice. Dante married me to protect my daughter from you. That's the truth. Touching. Vincent released me, nodding to one of his men. Then you won't mind if we verify that. The man approached Maria with a knife. No! I lunged forward, but hands clamped down on my shoulders, slamming me back into the chair. Stop, please! 1 finger, Vincent said calmly. For every lie you tell me. We'll start with hers, then move to yours. Dante! I screamed, not caring any more if they heard the earpiece. Wait! A new voice echoed through the warehouse. Everyone turned. Dante stood in the doorway, alone, hands raised, no visible weapons. But the aura of lethal danger surrounding him made every man in the room tense. Let them go, Vincent. This is between you and me. What is he doing? Marco's frantic voice crackled through my ear. He wasn't supposed to... Vincent's smile was venomous. Well, well, the groom arrives after all. How romantic. I came to make a deal. Dante's eyes found mine across the distance, and I saw apology and determination burning there. You want proof the money exists? I'll take you to it. Right now. But you release both women first. You must think I'm stupid. I think you're smart enough to know killing them gets you nothing. Dante took a step forward. But I also think you're desperate enough to gamble. Your family's been hemorrhaging money for months. Your own soldiers are questioning your leadership. You need that 3 million, not to recover a loss, but to survive. Vincent's expression darkened. Careful, Salvatore. I'm offering you a lifeline. Take it or don't. Dante's voice was ice. But if you hurt either of them, I will burn your entire operation to the ground. Every business, every safe house, every family member you've ever cared about. I will erase the Valentino name from existence. The warehouse went silent. Then Vincent laughed. You always were arrogant. It's what I admire about you. He gestured to his men. Release the women. We're going with Mr. Salvatore on his little treasure hunt. No. Dante's voice cut like a blade. Just me and you. Nobody else. Not a chance. Then no deal. Dante's hand moved to his side, and suddenly he was holding a gun I hadn't seen. And we all die here tonight. Dante. Don't! Marco's voice was desperate in my ear. But Dante wasn't listening to anyone. His eyes were locked on Vincent, 2 predators sizing each other up. You're bluffing, Vincent said. Try me. Dante's finger rested on the trigger. I've got nothing to lose anymore. My uncle wants my position. The other families question my strength. My wife thinks I'm a monster. His voice cracked slightly on that last word. So what's one more corpse? What's one more war? Dante. My voice was barely a whisper, but somehow he heard it. His eyes flicked to me, and in that moment of distraction, Vincent moved. The world exploded into chaos. Gunfire erupted from every direction. Glass shattered. Men shouted. I threw myself sideways as bullets tore through the air where my head had been seconds before. Get down! Dante's roar filled my ear. I hit the concrete hard, tasting blood, my vision swimming. Through the smoke and chaos, I saw Dante moving like a force of nature. Disarming one man, shooting another, closing the distance to where Maria and I were trapped. Then I saw Vincent behind him, gun raised, aiming for Dante's unprotected back. The weapon at my waistband felt impossibly heavy. I didn't think, didn't hesitate. Just pulled it free, aimed like Dante had shown me, and fired. The recoil nearly broke my wrist. The sound deafened me. But Vincent stumbled, blood blooming across his shoulder. his shot going wild. Dante spun, saw what I'd done, and something fierce and proud and terrified flashed across his face. Then the entire building shook. "Everyone out!" Marco's voice screamed through the earpiece. "They've rigged the building. 30 seconds!" Dante was at my side in an instant, hauling me up, his arm around my waist. "Maria!" She was already free, one of Dante's soldiers cutting her bonds, pulling her toward the exit. We ran through smoke and gunfire and falling debris. My lungs burned, my legs screamed. But Dante's arm was iron around me, refusing to let me fall. 20 seconds. The exit loomed ahead, night air visible beyond. 15 seconds. Something hit my leg. Pain exploded through me. I stumbled. "I've got you." Dante swept me into his arms, running faster, his heart hammering against my cheek. 10 seconds. We burst through the door into the night. 5 seconds. Down! The warehouse exploded behind us. The world came back in fragments. Pain in my leg. Ringing in my ears. The smell of smoke and burning metal. Dante's arms around me. His voice a desperate litany against my hair. "Stay with me, Claire. Stay with me." "I'm here," I managed, though my voice sounded strange and distant. "I'm okay." "You're not okay. You're bleeding." His hands were everywhere, checking my pulse, pressing against my thigh where something warm and wet soaked through my jeans. "Marco! I need a medic now!" The world tilted as he carried me away from the burning warehouse, away from the screams and chaos. Other voices filtered through. Maria crying, someone shouting orders, the wail of approaching sirens. "Put me down," I said. "I can walk." "Like hell you can." His grip tightened. "You just took shrapnel for me." "I took shrapnel because someone rigged a building to explode." I tried to focus on his face, but everything kept blurring. "Did we get everyone out?" "Yes." His jaw was tight. "All of ours made it. Most of theirs didn't." The weight of that settled over me. People were dead. Because of me. Because of money I'd never seen. A man I'd barely known. A daughter whose only crime was being born. "I killed someone," I whispered. Dante stopped walking. Set me down carefully on the hood of a car, his hands framing my face, forcing me to look at him. "You saved my life," he said fiercely. "Vincent would have shot me in the back. You saw the threat and you acted. That's not murder, Claire. That's survival." "He's dead?" "No." Something dark crossed his expression. "He's wounded. My men have him. But Claire?" He hesitated. "You need to understand what happens next. I can't let him live. Not after this. Not after he threatened you." My stomach churned. "You're going to kill him." "Yes." The simple honesty of it should have horrified me. Instead, I felt only exhaustion and a terrible kind of understanding. This was Dante's world. Violence answered with violence. Threats eliminated permanently. "I don't want to watch," I said quietly. "You won't have to." He pressed his forehead to mine. "You'll never have to see that part of me. I swear it." "But I'll know it's happening." "Yes." A medic appeared with a kit, kneeling beside me to examine my leg. I hissed as he peeled back the torn fabric, revealing a long gash across my thigh. Painful, but not deep. Shrapnel had grazed me, nothing more. "Lucky," the medic muttered, cleaning the wound. "Few inches higher, and we'd be having a different conversation." Dante's hands clenched into fists. He watched every movement like he wanted to do it himself, like he couldn't stand someone else touching me even for medical care. When the medic finished bandaging me and moved away, Dante pulled me against his chest. His heart was racing, his breathing uneven. "When I saw you go down," he said into my hair, "I've never felt fear like that. Not in 15 years of this life. Not through wars and betrayals and near-death experiences. Nothing has ever terrified me like the thought of losing you. You barely know me. I know enough. He pulled back to look at me, and his eyes were raw with emotion. I know you're brave enough to walk into hell for a woman you just met. I know you're strong enough to pull a trigger to save someone else's life. I know you're stubborn and fierce, and you make me want to be something other than what I am. What are you, Dante? A monster, he said simply. A man who's built an empire on violence and fear. A man who's killed more people than he can count. A man who manipulates and lies and destroys anyone who threatens what's his. His thumb traced my lower lip. But when I'm with you, I want to be the man you deserve. The one who deserves you back. Tears burned down my cheeks. I don't know if I can live in this world. I know. His voice cracked. And I won't force you to stay. Once this is over, once Vincent is handled and the Valentinos are neutralized, I'll let you go if that's what you want. You and Lily. I'll set you up somewhere safe, somewhere far from all of this. You'll never have to see me again. You'd really do that? If it means you're safe? Yes. He kissed my forehead, my temple, my cheek. But God, Claire, I'm praying you don't ask me to. Before I could respond, Marco appeared, his expression grim. We have a problem. Dante's entire demeanor shifted. What kind of problem? Vincent had insurance, a video. Marco held up a tablet. He sent it to every major family in the city 30 seconds before the explosion. It's already gone viral in our world. Dante took the tablet, and I watched his face turn to stone as he watched whatever was on the screen. Then he handed it to me. The video showed me, sitting in that chair in the warehouse. And Vincent's voice. State your name for the record. Claire Donovan, my recorded voice said. And who is your daughter's father? Anthony Russo. The same Anthony Russo who stole $3 million from my family? A pause. Then, yes. The video cut off. My blood ran cold. I never said that last part. It's edited, Marco confirmed. Badly, but effectively. He spliced together audio to make it sound like you're confessing Lily is connected to the money. So what? I looked between them, confused. You already returned the money. What does it matter? It matters because now every family thinks I'm lying about returning it. Dante's voice was hollow. They think I kept it. Married you to legitimize my claim through Lily. And now that Vincent exposed it, they think I've been playing them all for fools. The implications crashed over me. They'll come after us. Not just us. Everyone I protect. Every business under my umbrella. Every alliance I've built. He looked at me and I saw genuine fear in his eyes. Claire, I've just become the biggest target in the city. And so have you. Then we run. We take Lily and we... No. His voice was iron. I don't run. I fight. Against every family? If I have to. He stood, pulling me up with him despite my legs' protest. But first, I need to make a statement. Show them I'm not afraid. Show them what happens when someone threatens my family. He turned to Marco. Gather the captains. Everyone's still loyal. We meet in 1 hour. And Vincent? Dante's smile was cold and terrible. Bring him to the estate. It's time the city remembered why they fear the Salvatore name. He started walking toward a waiting car, then paused, looking back at me. You should stay here. Let Marco take you home to Lily. No. I limped after him, ignoring the pain. If you're making a statement about your family, then I'm standing beside you. That's what wives do. Something shifted in his expression. Surprise, pride, love, all tangled together. You'll see things tonight you can't unsee. I already have. I took his hand, lacing our fingers together. And I'm still here. He lifted our joined hands, pressed a kiss to my knuckles. Then let's show them what it means to cross the Salvatores. We climbed into the car together, leaving the burning warehouse and the chaos behind. But as we drove through the dark streets toward the estate, toward whatever horror awaited, I couldn't shake the feeling that the worst was yet to come. And somewhere in the night, Dante's enemies were gathering their forces, preparing for war. The estate's underground meeting room looked like something from a medieval castle. Stone walls, iron sconces, and a massive oak table scarred with decades of deals and violence. 20 men sat around that table. Captains, lieutenants, soldiers, the backbone of Dante's empire. They watched me with expressions ranging from curiosity to outright hostility as Dante led me to a chair at his right hand. "She shouldn't be here," one man muttered. Late 50s, gray beard, cold eyes. "This is family business." "She is family," Dante said quietly. "My wife. And she stays." The tension in the room was suffocating. These men didn't trust me, didn't want me here, saw me as the weakness that had brought their world to the brink of war. Maybe they were right. Dante remained standing, his hand resting on the back of my chair, possessive and protective. By now you've all seen Vincent's video. You know what the other families think, that I stole from them, that I married Claire to legitimize the theft, that I've been lying to everyone. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the room. So let me be clear. His voice dropped to something deadly. Every dollar stolen by Anthony Russo has been returned. I have receipts, transaction records, witnesses. The money is gone. But Vincent Valentino wanted war, so he manufactured evidence to give the other families an excuse to move against us. "Then show them proof," another captain said. "Release the records. Clear your name." "And look weak?" Dante's laugh was bitter. "Show them I care what they think? No. We don't defend. We dominate." "Against 5 families?" The gray-bearded man shook his head. "That's suicide. It's survival." Dante's hand tightened on my chair. "If we back down now, if we show any hesitation, we're finished. They'll carve up our territory like vultures on a carcass. So instead, we strike first. Hard. Make them regret even thinking about challenging us." "With what army?" someone demanded. "We're outnumbered 3-1. We don't need an army. We need leverage." Dante nodded to Marco, who stepped forward with Vincent Valentino. The man looked broken. Blood crusted his shirt where I'd shot him. His face was swollen, one eye blackened. But there was still defiance in his gaze as guards forced him to his knees in the center of the room. "Vincent here is going to help us," Dante said conversationally. "He's going to tell the other families exactly what he did, how he faked evidence, how he tried to manipulate them into a war over money that doesn't exist." Vincent spat blood onto the floor. "I'll tell them nothing." "You will." Dante circled him slowly. "Because if you don't, I won't just kill you. I'll dismantle everything you've ever built. Your son's restaurant? Burned. Your daughter's art gallery? Seized. Your grandchildren's trust funds? Emptied." He crouched beside Vincent, voice dropping to a whisper that somehow carried through the entire room. "I will erase your legacy so thoroughly that in 50 years, no one will remember the Valentino name ever existed." The room held its breath. Vincent's face twisted with rage and fear. "You're insane!" "I'm motivated." Dante stood, turning to address his captains. "This is what we're offering the families. Vincent's confession, his public humiliation, and a promise. Anyone who stands against us faces the same fate." "And if they don't accept?" Greybeard asked. "Then we go to war." Dante's expression was carved from ice. "And we win, because I'm not losing everything I've built. Not my territory, not my reputation." His hand found my shoulder. "Not my family." I felt every eye in the room turn to me, judging, measuring, deciding if I was worth dying for. She's the reason we're in this mess, someone muttered. She's the reason I'm still alive, Dante shot back. Vincent had a gun to my head in that warehouse. Claire pulled the trigger that saved my life. So yes, she's the reason. The reason any of us are sitting here right now instead of planning my funeral. The room went silent. Then, slowly, Graybeard stood. He walked toward me, and I forced myself not to flinch as he stopped inches away. You shot Vincent Valentino? He asked. Yes. My voice didn't shake. Ever killed anyone before? No. He studied me for a long moment. Then, impossibly, he smiled. Takes guts to pull a trigger your first time, especially to save someone else. He glanced at Dante. Maybe she's stronger than she looks. I've been trying to tell you that, Dante said dryly. Graybeard extended his hand. Matteo Caruso, I've served the Salvatore family for 30 years. Your husband's father was a great man. Dante's even better. If he says you're family, then you're family. I shook his hand, relief flooding through me. One by one, other men approached, some grudging, some genuine, all offering their acceptance. When the last man sat down, Dante turned back to Vincent. So, your confession. Now. Go to hell. Dante sighed. Then he pulled out his gun. I tensed, knowing what was coming, hating that I couldn't look away. Claire. Dante's voice was gentle. You should leave now. No. I stood, my leg throbbing but holding. You said I'm family. That means I don't run when things get ugly. Pride flickered in his eyes. It's going to get very ugly. I know. He held my gaze for another moment, then nodded. Marco, bring in the recording equipment. Vincent's going to make a statement after all. What followed was brutal. Not physically, Dante never touched him, but psychologically. He pulled up photographs on a tablet. Vincent's family, his businesses, everything he cared about. And with each image, he described in clinical detail how he would destroy it. 10 minutes later, Vincent broke. The confession was recorded. Detailed. Undeniable. Vincent admitted to faking evidence, to manipulating the video, to trying to start a war for his own gain. When it was done, Dante uploaded it to a secure server accessible only to the city's family heads. Now we wait, he said. They'll receive the video within the hour. Then they'll decide, accept the truth, or commit to war. And Vincent? Matteo asked. Dante looked at the broken man on the floor. Lock him in the East Wing, under guard. When this is over, the families will decide his fate together, not me alone. It was a political move. Smart, strategic. Show the other families Dante respected their authority even while demonstrating his power. The meeting dissolved, captains filing out to prepare for whatever came next. Marco led Vincent away. Soon, only Dante and I remained in the stone room. You should hate me, he said quietly, not looking at me. For bringing you into this world. For making you witness that. I should, I agreed. But I don't. His head turned sharply. Why not? Because I understand now. I moved closer until I could feel his heat. You're not cruel for pleasure. You're doing what you have to do to protect people who depend on you. It's not so different from what I've done for Lily. Working myself to exhaustion, sacrificing everything, making impossible choices. It's completely different. You're good. I'm human. I took his face in my hands. Flawed and dangerous and morally complicated, but human and mine. His breath caught. Yours? You said I was yours. That goes both ways, Dante. My thumb traced his lower lip. For better or worse. Remember? Claire. My name was a prayer, a plea, a promise. If you stay with me, you can't unknow this life. Can't unsee what you've seen. There's no going back to who you were. Good. I pulled his mouth down to mine. Because I don't want to go back. The kiss ignited something desperate between us. His hands tangled in my hair, pulling me closer, and I pressed against him, needing his strength, his heat, his undeniable presence. This was no gentle exploration. This was claim and surrender all at once. When we finally broke apart, both breathing hard, his eyes had darkened to storm clouds ready to break. Upstairs, he said roughly. Now, before I take you on this table. Heat flooded through me. Dante! Claire! His voice was strained. I've wanted you since the moment I saw you. I've held back because you deserved time, deserved choice. But if you kiss me like that again, I won't be able to stop. Then don't stop. Something fierce and possessive flashed across his face. He swept me into his arms despite my protest about my leg, carrying me toward the stairs. Your leg? We'll be fine, I said against his neck. I'm fine. I'm here. And I'm yours. We never made it to the bedroom. I woke to sunlight streaming through unfamiliar windows and Dante's arm heavy across my waist. For a moment, I just breathed. Let myself feel the warmth of his skin against mine, the steady rhythm of his heartbeat against my back, the profound intimacy of waking beside someone who'd seen every part of me, body and soul, and chosen to stay. Last night had been everything. Desperate and tender, fierce and gentle, two broken people finding wholeness in each other's arms. He'd whispered my name like a prayer. I'd traced every scar on his body like reading a map of survival. And when it was over, when we lay tangled together in sheets that smelled of us, he'd kissed my temple and whispered, Ti amo, Claire. I love you. I'd fallen asleep with those words wrapped around my heart. Now, in the harsh light of morning, reality crashed back. Dante's phone buzzed on the nightstand. Once, twice, 3 times in rapid succession. He stirred, his arm tightening around me instinctively before he woke. Morning, he murmured against my neck, his voice rough with sleep. Your phone. He groaned but reached for it, his free hand still tracing lazy patterns on my hip. Then his entire body went rigid. What is it? I twisted to look at him. His face had gone carefully blank. The expression I'd learned meant something terrible was happening. The families responded. My stomach dropped. And? 3 accepted Vincent's confession. 2 want war. He scrolled through messages, his jaw tightening with each one. The Morettis and the Russos. They're calling for a council meeting tonight. Winner takes control of the city. That's insane! You can't. I can and I will. He sat up, the sheets falling to his waist, and I couldn't help but notice how the morning light caught the old bullet wound near his ribs. This is how our world works, Claire. Disputes get settled, one way or another. By killing each other? Sometimes. He turned to face me fully, and his expression softened slightly. But not always. Sometimes it's negotiation, compromise, a show of strength that makes everyone back down. And which do you think this will be? He was quiet for a long moment. Honestly? I don't know. Fear clawed at my throat. Then don't go. Let them fight among themselves. Take me and Lily and just leave. Start over somewhere else. You know I can't do that. His hand cupped my face. Everyone who depends on me, the families I protect, the businesses that employ thousands of people, the territories that stay safe because my name keeps predators out, they all need me to face this. I need you alive. I know. He kissed me softly, achingly tender. And I'm going to do everything in my power to come home to you tonight. But Claire, if something happens, don't. Tears burned my eyes. Don't you dare say goodbye to me right now. I'm not saying goodbye. I'm saying... He pressed his forehead to mine. I'm saying that if the worst happens, Marco has instructions. He'll get you and Lily somewhere safe. Money, new identities, everything you need to disappear. I don't want to disappear. I want you. And you have me. His thumb brushed away my tears. But I need to know you'll be okay. That Lily will be okay. That's the only way I can walk into that meeting tonight and do what needs to be done. A knock interrupted us. Marco's voice. Boss, we have a situation. Dante's eyes closed briefly. Then he called. 2 minutes. He kissed me once more, deep, claiming, desperate, then pulled away to dress. I watched him transform from the vulnerable man who'd held me through the night into the cold, calculated Mafia boss who commanded an empire. I'll be in the war room, he said at the door. Take your time. Have breakfast with Lily. Try to make today as normal as possible for her. Dante. He paused. I love you too. His smile was heartbreaking. I know, Piccola. I know. Then he was gone. I found Lily in the kitchen with Maria, who looked tired but alive, a bandage on her temple the only evidence of yesterday's nightmare. My daughter was eating pancakes shaped like hearts, chattering about the enormous princess bed in her room. Mommy! She launched herself at me. Maria makes the best pancakes. And guess what? I have 100 toys. 100! That's wonderful, baby. I held her tight, breathing in her strawberry shampoo, letting her innocence anchor me. Did you sleep okay? Uh-huh. The bed is so big, and there's a nightlight that looks like a fairy. She pulled back to look at me seriously. Mommy, are we staying here forever? My heart clenched. Do you want to? I like it here. Maria is nice. And the new daddy... She hesitated, uncertain of the word. Dante. He came to my room last night and read me a story. He has a funny accent, but he does really good character voices. Tears threatened again. He did? Uh-huh. He said he used to read stories to his little sister a long time ago. Lily returned to her pancakes. Is he going to stay? Marcus didn't stay. The casual heartbreak in that statement destroyed me. Dante's not like Marcus, I said carefully. He means the promises he makes. Good. She grinned, syrup on her chin. Because I like him. He's not scary like the other men. Well, he's a little scary, but nice scary, like a big wolf who protects you. Out of the mouths of babes. Maria caught my eye, her expression knowing. He loves her already, she said softly. Loves both of you. I've never seen him like this. Even though it might destroy everything he's built. Especially because of that. She poured me coffee, pressed the mug into my hands. Real love makes you risk everything. And that man would burn the world for you. Before I could respond, shouting erupted from somewhere in the house, running footsteps. Then Marco burst into the kitchen. Mrs. Salvatore, we need to move you and Lily, now. Ice flooded my veins. What happened? The Russos just hit one of our warehouses, killed 6 men. His face was grim. This is war, and they're coming here next. Where's Dante? Already mobilizing our forces, but he wants you and Lily in the safe house before... An explosion rocked the mansion. Windows shattered. Lily screamed. I grabbed her, shielding her body with mine as glass rained down. Maria pulled us under the heavy kitchen table as gunfire erupted from every direction. They're here, Marco shouted into his radio. East wing breached. I repeat, East wing breached. Mommy! Lily sobbed against my chest. I'm scared. I know, baby. I know. But we're going to be okay. I looked at Marco. Where's Dante? North corridor. But Mrs. Salvatore, I can't let you... I was already moving, Lily clutched in my arms, running toward the sound of gunfire because my husband was in danger and I'd be damned if I lost him now. The mansion was chaos. Smoke filled the hallways. Bodies, I didn't look too closely, littered the marble floors. Dante's men fought in coordinated groups, professional and deadly. I found him in what looked like a study. Blood on his face, gun in hand, 3 men down around him. Claire! His eyes went wide with horror. What the hell are you doing here? Saving you, I gasped. Or dying with you. I haven't decided yet. Another explosion, closer this time. The ceiling cracked. Dante crossed to us in 2 strides, his hand cupping Lily's head. There's a tunnel, under the library. Marco... I know where it is, Marco confirmed, appearing behind us with Maria. This way. We ran through smoke and destruction, through the mansion that had been my home for barely a day. Behind us, the battle raged. Ahead, the library doors stood open. Dante reached them first, then froze. What? I started, then saw. A man stood in the center of the library, surrounded by armed soldiers. Not Russo, not Moretti, Castellano. Dante's uncle. Hello, nephew, he said with a cold smile. Thanks for gathering everyone I need to kill in one convenient location. He raised his gun. Dante shoved me and Lily behind him, his body a shield. And the world exploded into gunfire once more.